Hi everyone, my name is Sanchli. Welcome to my channel. So today I'll be asking the guides to put some light on the thoughts, where the thought comes from, and during the course of the day, I just observed there are so many random thoughts. Some we may deem as negative thoughts, we may deem as positive thoughts, and one thing I also noticed is during the course of interaction with somebody, there is some commentary which is going on in the background, which is again not us, but the commentary is still happening. So I wanted to have that clarity from the guides, like what is going on there. Uh, so let's see where we go. So take a deep breath, just relax your body. Feel the chair which you are sitting on. And let go of whatever does not serve. Putting an intention for calling upon the highest frequency guides to provide clarity on the subject of thoughts. Greetings. So, the topic which has been talked about is thoughts. It's a way for your mind to communicate with you. What it is your mind is trying to make sense of what is happening in the environment. It's just giving you a feedback. Some of the thoughts which comes to you, they are recycled thoughts, which we say. If you are not paying attention on the thoughts which are happening to you, there may be thoughts which are just going in the background over and over again, and you may be reacting to that. So be paying attention to what is happening in a conversation. When you are with a conversation with somebody, what are the thoughts which are popping up in your mind? You see, thoughts are not you, they are not your identity. It is just information which your mind is giving you, trying to make sense of what is happening in the environment. And that may not be true, because while growing up, the vocabulary you had, the references you had for what is happening in the environment creates a certain definition of how things are happening. But as you grow up, if you are not reevaluating those definitions, then you are basically recycling your life in a way, because you're expecting things to happen in a certain way. You're interpreting whatever is happening in the environment in the same way, if to have to say. So because you are creating your posture, you're creating your sense, you're creating your identity, you're creating your sense of self based upon your own interpretations. So there is no change happening. Once you realize what thoughts are going through your mind, you can reevaluate the definitions which are happening. Are they true? Are they still true to you? Does it still make sense or not? So that's why don't take thoughts as serious. Don't identify thoughts are you. Just see if that thought, does it make sense to you in this context. And again, that's where your discernment also comes into picture. If you're not making a choice, if you're not making a decision for how you want to live your life, the recycled thoughts will make that decision for you. So eventually, that's when you see this not much change happens in a person's life if their definitions does not change in the course of life. Even you have seen this narrative when people say, oh, that person kind of is like their father or like their mother. So, what is happening is they are taking on the definitions of their parents and repeating or internalizing those same definition within themselves. So, ideally, they create the same structure, a same physical manifestation of what their parents were or what their even grandparents were. So, the purpose, if you may have to say, for one being is to identify for themselves who they are, what do they like, how do they want to interpret the situation. When you say the negative callbacks, or when you say the negative narrative which is happening in your mind, it's again, if you have to say, it's like a self criticism. That is something you might have picked up growing up. Now is the time to realize, do you really want that? It comes as a projection. What the mind is trying to show is somebody internally, the mind is projecting onto somebody else that they are the one criticizing you. But essentially, you are the one criticizing yourself using that image of somebody else. Again, it's not you, but it's just the mechanism which is happening. So once you realize that the source or the starting point starts from here, you can relax because you don't have to deal with anybody else. And also, you can start with that understanding that it has all started with that sense of innocence growing up. So there is no criticism of self criticizing. You can start with forgiveness. Because once you forgive for whatever action you believed were wrong, then you have that choice point of next time when it happens, it's very easy for you to not get into that game of self criticism because you realize that is not something which you desire. Again, other interpretation is the mind trying to make sense of what is happening in the environment is again the mind trying to sense what is happening in your physical body. If somebody's facial expression is that way, if somebody has not replied you, somebody has acted in a certain way, the mind wants to make sense of why the things happened that way. It is a sense of control, wanting to have some sense of control over the environment, and also having some sense of control over your life. It's just if you don't know what is happening, then you don't form an identity or an egoistic stand of that. You see, ego is not wrong. Ego is just a representation of you in the environment. Ego is basically a sense of identity which the people, other people interact with, other people talk with. So ego, which we deem as something negative, is not negative. It's just your identity in the earth, if you have to say. The only thing which you can be done is have that identity, that interface as clear as possible, which is not having any preconceived notions of other people or of yourself. If you have negative definitions of yourself, which is basically self criticism, that is where you get cluttered, and then your capacity to be efficient in the world diminishes because you are putting yourself down. And also, if you are projecting something negative onto the other person, then again your sense of safety is threatened, and your anticipation of something going wrong heightens. Then you're again weakening yourself. If you're not projecting anything negative to the other people, that doesn't mean that you're not using your discernment. Yes, you are using your discernment in the world, but again you're also not going with that fearful mind where you're fearing the worst case scenario all the time. No, if you're going with that, that's what you anticipate, that's what you expect, and that's what you manifest. But if you're going with a sense of safety within yourself, this is who you are safe, you have sense of clarity within yourself who you are as a person. And when you're dealing with somebody else in the environment, you don't have that commentary going on, which is like also recycled commentary. If it happens again, to start with, it will happen because that's what has been happening for such a long time. Be aware of it and don't get attached to it. It may happen that you will get attached to it again. Keep on creating that distance, that this is not who that person is, because that's how you are seeing the other person as clear in front of you rather than the definitions you have of the person. Because if you have definition of the person, that is who that person is, that's how they will behave, that is how they will interact. That's what happens in a family situation. You have a strong identity of what your parents are, what your siblings are, and that's how you interact with them. Why the person may get irritated because they see you're not interacting with them, you're interacting with the definitions you have of them. That's where the clarity is not there. So when you have to make your interface very clear, so you don't have any negative definition of yourself, and any definitions which will impede your clarity, plus any definition of the person who you are interacting with, or any negative definitions of the environment. Discernment, yes. Preconceived notions, no. Assumptions, no. So that's where we want to say. And again, becoming clearer every day of what is real physicality in front of you and what your mind is trying to create and project. If you are not projecting onto something, then you are basically interacting with that environment as is for what they are. That's where the clarity comes into picture, where your interface is clear and you are clear within yourself. And also, if there are old emotions which are not processed in your life, that may influence your projection as well. So, recognizing that, acknowledging that emotions, allowing space for that emotions, so those emotions are not stuck in your body, and then your mind is not trying to interpret those emotions as something about yourself or about the environment. That's where the um, convolution happens, where your interface is not clear. So again, we don't have to do a big project to start with. When things come, just pay attention what is happening within you. And then again, once you realize what is happening within you, you don't have to fix something, it's just the realization itself. And then making a different selection, which is again not following that thought process or not doing the projection of it. It again comes with practice. Keep on practicing, realizing what is happening, and then choosing what you choose to be in the world. Again, if there is something repetition which is happening in your mind, which is repeating over and over and over again, pay attention to the emotions which is behind it. Allow that emotions to be expressed in your body. If there is anger, allow the anger to be expressed. If there is a repetitive thought happening which is very sticky, usually there is an emotions behind it, and allow that emotions to complete its expression. Basically, you are meeting parts of you which didn't had the chance to express itself and to be accepted. Once the expression gets completed, the repetition, the grip of the repetition thought will go away. So that's where we leave you, for recognizing the emotions, for allowing the emotions to be expressed, for recognizing the thoughts, for seeing thoughts with clarity, for recognizing what is happening within you, and for also recognizing what interpretation of the environment you have within yourself, because it's just an interpretation. Growing up as a small kid, you had that language to kind of interpret everything which is happening in the environment for sense of safety. That is also a mechanism. If you don't feel safe in the world, then you have to basically label things which are safe and label things which are not safe in order to feel that sense of control and sense of safety, and how do you protect yourself. So here you are basically providing the safety to your inner child which the child did not have. Once you provide the safety to the inner child, then you can also redefine the definitions or the interpretations you have of the world if they are kind of screwed. Pay attention to the emotions, pay attention to the thoughts, and being very gentle with yourself. We leave you here providing light language to support you in the discovery of thoughts and emotions, and also opening up to the emotions which you have within yourself, and being kind to yourself, releasing self-judgment, and releasing preconceived notions of the environment and of yourself. Shisopo chikatae chinshona sapadititi ishkoso palkititito shoseme tapatakuto chusho sabreta il katata shiso pi katakatito chusho si tapatakuto chusho man katakata Impa, iskatu, chisabrakiti, chisuzo, patakati, juvenita, ilkoto, chisatata, patuku, chisabrakiti, chisus, abrakati, patatu, chusumretata, ilkatu, ishkabrakati, chisa, patatu, chusumretata, patatu, chusumretata, ipalakatu, chusus, abrakati, chus, abrakati, abrakatu, abrakata, iplokta, kishisa, patatu, chus, abrakati, tapatu, chusumreta, iklakatu, patakati, chus, abrakati, chus, abrakata, numereta. Ista patakadujo, sabrakatakadujo, tapalakadajo, palakadajo, patakadata. Sending you all well wishes and our unconditional love to you. Good day. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Bye.